You ever watch a movie and at some point you just stop seeing the actor? You're not thinking about who they are, what they've played in before. You're just watching a person embody a character and bring a story to life that you're watching. Well, today we're going to look at some of the best performances ever that didn't feel like acting. So pop that tape in. I got you. Let's go do this. All right, welcome back to AVA Pop Culture, and today we are staying in this lane, sort of, I've been talking about lately, of movies that feel real, connect with us, and today we're kind of going to zoom in on something specific that I wanted to take a look at, because sometimes it's not the story, it's not the setting, it is the performance that pulls you in and makes something feel real. That thing an actor does where they completely disappear, no matter how big of a star they are, where it doesn't feel like acting anymore. It feels like just watching someone exist and move through this story. And I have 10 great performances that didn't feel like acting, and one special one that I want to mention first, and that is The Dark Knight from 2008 in Heath Ledger's turn as the Joker. This is one that completely changed how people look at blockbuster movies, and particularly superhero movies, because before The Dark Knight, comic book villains didn't feel like this. Heath Ledger's Joker doesn't feel like a character. He feels real. He feels crazy. He feels unpredictable, but brilliant. Every scene he's in, you're leaning forward because you don't know what he's going to do. The interrogation scene where he shifts from calm to laughing to completely unhinged, it doesn't feel rehearsed at all. It feels like anything could happen in that moment. Even Batman doesn't know how to deal with it. And that's what makes it feel so real. Not a realism in a literal sense, but an emotional unpredictability, a performance that sucks you in, where an actor hits every single beat. You're watching chaos be performed in human form. And it's just one that I had to mention because as far as superhero performances go and villain performances go in those movies, it's second to none. And then officially kicking off our list at number 10 is Robert De Niro's performance in 1976's Taxi Driver. This is one of those performances, like this movie is not, it's not a favorite movie of mine. It's not one that I've watched a bunch of times, but as a filmmaker and a director myself, this one feels like you're watching a real person unravel in real time. Travis Bickle isn't introduced as some over-the-top character in any way. He's quiet, he's awkward, he's disconnected, but the more time you spend with him, the more uncomfortable it gets. In the mirror scenes, you talking to me? It doesn't, like now it's been parodied a lot, but if you watch it, it doesn't feel scripted in the moment. It feels like a guy alone in a room trying to figure out who he is. And De Niro plays it so internally and restrained. This is earlier in his career when De Niro was at the top of his game. But this one is where it finally starts to break and it feels inevitable, like this thing was always coming. There's no questioning how real that performance feels. And then one that takes a creepy, dark turn is Anthony Hopkins' performance as Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. What's crazy about this performance, though, is actually how little screen time that Anthony Hopkins has, and yet somehow he is the main thing that you remember about the movie. He dominates the entire movie, and Hannibal Lecter isn't loud. He's not physically imposing. He barely moves, but the way Hopkins delivers every single line in this movie feels dangerous. It feels like there is just miles and miles of intellect and deviousness and something underneath everything he says. That first meeting with Clarice where he's just sitting there studying her, you're watching someone think in real time, and that's what makes it so real. It's not about what he does, it's about what you feel like and imagine that he could do just by how it appears that he is thinking. That is pretty awesome. And then there are the dual performances of Robin Williams and Matt Damon in Goodwill Hunting. Now, Robin Williams' performance, I think, even maybe stands above Matt Damon's, but they are so good and they're so connected. I had to mention them both because this is where realism comes from connection between these two. So they got to be together because their performances together don't feel like scenes at all. They feel like conversations. We know a lot of it was improvised. And Matt Damon plays Will with his mix of confidence and self-destruction. He pushes people away before they can get close. But then you have Robin Williams, who doesn't play a movie therapist. He plays a guy who's lived. And he's bringing that wisdom to it. He's been through rough things. He understands pain. And those scenes between them, especially the scene where it's not your fault, Will. It's not your fault. And Will breaks down and hugs him. He doesn't believe it. He blames himself. Man, that does not feel written at all. It feels like a real moment between two people, and that's why it hits so hard. And the next one is one that does not get talked about enough, and it's one that a lot of people tend to forget. That is Sylvester Stallone's performance in Rocky in 1976. Oscar nominated acting performance in Rocky, and a lot of people just remember Stallone and they think about him as an action hero, but the guy's been nominated now a couple times for acting. He's next level when it comes to acting, and this one, like I said, doesn't get talked about enough because people remember it incorrectly. Because people think of Rocky as an underdog story, as training, the fight. But all that is a very tiny part of this movie. This movie's not about boxing at all. It's about Stallone's character as Rocky, the way he talks, the way he moves, the way his character avoids eye contact. Rocky feels like a real guy who's been beaten down by life and has seen it all and has nothing going for him. He's on Skid Row, and it's a guy who's lost. He's a little unsure. He's still hopeful, but he's scared to be hopeful. And it's in those quieter moments, like talking to Adrian, walking through the streets, when he sets up the night before the fight and he says, I can't win. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the guy beats me half to death, because all I need to do is go the distance so I can prove to myself for once that I was worth more, that I was more than just some bum. This doesn't feel like acting. This is Stallone channeling his one shot with Rocky when he wrote the script and took the lead acting role and bet on himself. This was real. This is someone just being themselves. It's absolutely incredible. And then there's Tom Hanks's performance in Saving Private Ryan. And there's a lot of Hanks performances you could go to. This one's different because of how restrained it is. Because you have Tom Hanks playing Captain Miller, and he doesn't play him like a hero at all. He plays him like a man barely holding it together. But outside, people think this man is almost mythic. They don't even know what he does for a living. They can't imagine it. Inside, he's shaking to pieces. But he has this strength of character to hold it together, not for himself, but for them, to try to lead them and make them get out alive. And with all the chaos happening around him, he's the only one who stays steady, at least on the outside. And it explains so much. That scene where the hand is shaking and they call attention to it, it's just there. And that's what makes it real, because people don't always talk about what they're feeling. They carry it. Someone like his character carried it for everyone else, and you see it. A hell of a performance by Tom Hanks. And then at number 5, I have another one where I have to put two performances together because there's no way to separate them in my opinion. And there's almost a third performance in here, but I'm just going to stick with Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman's performances in 1989's Glory. The acting in this one feels absolutely earned. Denzel's performance, especially the scene where he gets whipped and he's trying to stay strong, trying not to break, and he's keeping eye contact, and then the moment that the tear falls. That's not a movie moment. That is a real human moment. And Morgan Freeman throughout the film, grounded, steady, observant. He feels like someone who has seen everything. He has the wisdom to go along with it. These performances don't feel heightened. They feel real. They feel like these are real people. Matthew Broderick, I almost put him in here too because his performance is so good, and that eye contact that Denzel has with him, and then he's breaking down on the inside but trying to stay strong too. This movie is just acted on a different level, and these two guys are at the head of it, with Matthew Broderick right there too. Cary Elwes is outstanding. This film is just impeccable. Glory in their performance comes in at number 5. Now, at number 4, we have River Phoenix's performance in 1986's Stand By Me. And this is one of those performances that feels almost too real, because River Phoenix doesn't feel like a kid actor at all. He feels like a kid in some ways, the way he talks, the way he listens, but the way all that also doesn't feel like a kid. It feels wise beyond his years. The way he carries things he doesn't understand. In that scene where he breaks down, talking about how nobody ever really stands up for him, does not feel performed at all. It feels like something he's been holding in, and when it comes out, you feel it. You feel these moments between these kids. And River Phoenix, all these kids had great performances in this movie, but River Phoenix stands out, and it's absolutely incredible. It's legendary to this day in Stand By Me. And then at number 3, I'm going to take you to a different kind of realism, and for one of the best performances I believe I've ever seen. It's Daniel Day-Lewis's performance in Gangs of New York. Now, you can pick a lot of Daniel Day-Lewis performances. To me, I think this is the best one he's done.
And may the Christian Lord guide my hand against your Roman popery. Prepare to receive the true Lord.
And it's a different kind of realism, because Daniel Day-Lewis, he's actually doing something that's kind of stylized in a way, but it never feels fake. Bill the Butcher is absolutely larger than life, but every moment, every line, every action feels intentional. It feels real as this man, Bill the Butcher. And I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis is like supposedly a method actor, so that makes sense. But he doesn't just like step in and out of this character. You can tell he lives in this character. He is this character. And that's why it works. Even if it seems theatrical to some, it is not. It is a real performance, and it is one of the best I've ever seen. The best from Daniel Day-Lewis. It still feels real. I believe this man existed. 100%. It feels that way. You can't deny it. Incredible. Now, I'm going to tell you that Leonardo DiCaprio's performance in this is almost as good. It's great. They're both actually so great in this film, and they feel so real. I mean, you could go on to Liam Neeson's performance in here too. You could go on to John C. Reilly's performance. These performances feel so incredible that honestly, Cameron Diaz almost feels out of place, because she even when she's good, she can't keep up with them, because it's next level. And Daniel Day-Lewis, he has all that working in Gangs of New York. And then we go to 2008 for one that feels almost like somebody playing a version of themselves, and it's Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler. And it feels very personal, because it doesn't feel like Mickey Rourke playing a character at all. It feels like he's pulling from his real life. It just trades acting sort of for wrestling. And he plays Randy the Ram Robinson, kind of a Hulk Hogan / knockoff, who is broken, worn down, trying to hold on to something that has already really slipped away. And Mickey Rourke doesn't hide any of that. He brings in all his own baggage with it. The physicality, the exhaustion, the regret, the being worn out and beat down by life. It's all there, and that's what makes it hit even harder, because the performance doesn't feel like a comeback at all. It feels like someone showing you who they really are. An incredible performance in The Wrestler by Mickey Rourke. And then at number 1, and I just want to say this to you guys, what about this? What about this? I could put together 50 of these off the top of my head. But at number 1 is a performance in a movie that I've probably only seen 2 or 3 times in my life. It's not one of my favorites. It's not something that I watch a bunch of times. But there is no denying the performance by Jack Nicholson in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Because Jack Nicholson, sometimes later on he felt just like Jack Nicholson, but this performance feels like it's completely unfiltered in every way. McMurphy is unpredictable, funny, rebellious, but underneath all of that, there's something that is real that is driving him. And Nicholson doesn't try to smooth anything out. It's not an overpolished performance. He lets the character be crazy, messy, loud, but also quiet when the character needs to be quiet. And the interactions with the other patients feel genuine and real, completely natural, like you're watching real people react in real time. And by the end, it doesn't feel like you've watched a performance. It feels like you've watched someone that you knew. It is absolutely wild, a hell of a performance. And for this list, there could be a lot of others. This one, it comes in at number 1. So yeah, there's times that movies feel real, but sometimes it isn't the story at all. It's the person inside the story, the performance that makes you forget that you're watching something and pulls you in completely. So let me know in the comments some of the others. If I was to do another one of these, what are some of the performances that stick to the top of your mind that just felt so real they grabbed you and didn't let go and made you forget that you were watching an actor or an actress? And I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And if you enjoyed this and you want to help a little bit more, you can join my Patreon. The link is below, and there you will find deep dives on physical media, 4K reviews, behind the scenes looks at my filmmaking, special members only videos, and so much more. And you will get your name in lights on every single video, and everything goes back in the channel, and I really do appreciate it. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.